Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, welcome to Cosmic Current. This is Helane Lipson, and I'm here with my co-host, CJ Miller, to bring you the latest in news, opinion, and wisdom from the waves of information entering our collective consciousness at this time. Hello, CJ, are you there?
Hi, Helane. Yeah, I'm here. Great to talk with you today.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. We have a fascinating topic today. We're talking about programming. We're talking a little bit about how the human nature acts, how we, with our human nature, act in subconscious ways. We just kind of click back to old behaviors. Different things fluster us, and we find ourselves sometimes acting in ways that intellectually we know we shouldn't be acting like, but we do. And I think part of this is that we're programmed. Again, between the ages of 0 and 5, we might even have some deep-rooted past life issues that cause us to act in certain ways that we don't even know. We don't know why we're reacting to certain situations the way we do, or the emotion that comes up in us is almost, it just is involuntary, and the next thing you know, we're thrust into this. And many people are not aware that they're programmed. Do you, CJ, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, I would say that I agree with what you've said so far, and that surely, I mean, you can tell, like sometimes you'll just be on automatic pilot, and you'll just be reacting to things that people say, and sometimes, often it'll be something that's inside of us, that's deep inside, that's like an old program. Somebody will say something or do something or look a certain way, and it'll just set off that program, and then we'll just be automatically reacting. And I think a lot of people can get into trouble with that. I have had my own experiences with, I guess, what I would call sort of unconscious reaction to things. And in this newest time, in this time of ascension, 2011 to 2012, I think it's become much more clear to myself, to you, to other people. It just seems like it's more obvious that it's coming up again and again, these old programs, this old deep stuff that needs to be brought to the light so that we can understand it and not just be unconscious of it anymore. So, yeah, I would agree that your parenting, your family life, then you're going to school, all these things are programming us, not to mention the good old television and the media, how it programs us. So there's one thing is just being able to understand what your programming is, but I know that today we want to talk about, you don't even have to necessarily understand what the old programs are in order to reprogram yourself. It's just a matter of, like, we're going to talk about that one video. We're talking about several videos, and I'm not sure which one you want to start with.
Well, the thing is, I like the Veronica Lee, which is just very cut and dry. Veronica Lee is a spiritual teacher who talks about resetting the codes in your physical body to align with infinity. And again, usually these ways that we've been programmed are different subconscious messages that gear us toward limitation, that are almost set up to block us from being everything that we are to be, that block us from looking within. And so that is exactly what Veronica Lee said. It doesn't matter what the codes are right now, what it is, but you can reset them. You can actually literally reset the codes in your physical body to align with infinity. And what does that mean? It means that actually some of our programs limit us in what we believe we are worthy of obtaining. And we have a self-sabotage program that kicks in when we try to transcend what these codes have limited us with. And we don't even know it's happening. And so with a conscious decision to literally reset the codes in the physical body to align with infinity, you are reprogramming your subconscious to accept infinite possibilities. And I actually have done that, and I found that all of a sudden I snapped back to my old default settings, and I had to do it several times.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, no, but I do think it's working. No, what were you going to say about Veronica Lee? Did you try this also?
Yeah. I think, I was just watching it again this morning, and I was thinking the same thing, like you just said, like, okay, so we set the code to infinity, and would we naturally just snap back to our old way? And she actually said, you'll find that you might have to repeat this over and over again. Like, I would suggest perhaps doing it upon waking in the morning and then doing it again before going to sleep at night. So because you have to imagine these codes, these programs have been set in the body and in the mind for so long that it's the default setting.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're trying to take it away from the default setting, it's naturally going to snap back. Just like any change in life, they oftentimes, if they want you to really change something, a pattern, a habit, they'll say, take 21 days to do this, and then it'll click in, and it'll just become like when you first learned how to drive the car. It was very unnatural at first. And eventually you can drive without even thinking. You might even drive to your house without even thinking, oh, I was supposed to go somewhere else. But you just know, your body knows the way. So I think that's the same thing. Like you're saying, you just slip back into your old ways. And, I did it this morning. I woke up very early, listened to it, and I did it. And I found that it really helped me to communicate with my husband on a kind of a difficult topic where I would definitely be triggered to go into my old ways and my old defensiveness, but I didn't do that. So there is something. It made me feel lighter, and it did make me feel that there was more possibilities, and I could kind of state my position without feeling the heaviness that I often feel from my old programming. So I would say it works so far, and I've felt great today since I did it. So
you bring up such a good point.
It's very powerful.
You bring up a good point. We're all spiritual, we're all love and light until an issue that really bothers us or burdens us comes up. And that is the time when we are forced to think differently in our reactions. And whether it's the actual resetting of the codes itself that is changing things, or your intention to reset the codes to open toward infinity or to open to infinite possibilities. I don't know whether it's the intent or whether it's the actual setting of the codes to infinity with the help of spirit guides, whether it's that or whether it's just our pure intent or a combination, but there is absolutely something to it. Again, it's almost rooting you in different types of thoughts where you're able to see a better possibility. Because if we had our choice, if there was infinite possibilities, of course we would pick the one that matches what we're wanting, what we're desiring, what we're dreaming about. I mean, and human species has turned quite mechanical. They're just acting without thinking. They're kind of like machines going through day in and day out. And I think that this is just a great tool as people are waking up. I tell you, the other thing that really moved me was Bashar's Sacred Circuitry video. Now, that was incredible.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
That's an amazing video. It's really full of information. And the person who put it together, they did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Who did the video, rather, because it's not just Bashar talking, but it's also the person actually overlays the notes on top of the page, because it came from a workshop. Actually overlays beautifully on the screen these symbols that Bashar suggests that we use. There's 15 symbols. Then the 15 symbols each represent a different theme. And the person, the way they laid it out, they just said, oh, here's the thing, as he's talking about it, and then they go through each one, and then they repeat it, so that you can actually write down all the symbols and transcribe them onto index cards for yourself. So that was
that's
just
exactly
beautiful.
what I did. I actually literally followed the video. I followed his instructions. I love the way that they did that by showing each of the symbols, each of the 15 symbols, and how they relate. And then what Bashar was asking was just to put them on cards and stare at them for 1 minute each, so that you can rewire your brain with this rewire the circuitry of your brain and repattern again. And I actually did it. I went through, he said, I don't know whether, I think he might have said to do it a couple of, for 3 days.
3 days, 15 cards, a minute apiece, so 15 minutes for 3 days.
Well, I just started yesterday, and I don't know, I don't know where it's going to lead me, but I did find it absolutely fascinating. There was something to the symbols. I resonated with them. I really did take them in with my heart. I also was imagining or perceiving that my brain was taking these symbols in as I was looking at them for a minute. And I would also set up a second set of symbols. He said to group them into sets of 5. There's 15 symbols, and make a row and see how they all connect to each other, and as a part of the entire spiritual process of growth. He moves you all the way from the first symbol, which is centering, all the way to symbol 15, which is manifesting, and takes you through an entire process where you're centering, then expanding, balancing, preparing, then expressing, extending yourself. And then he said things really start to happen, when you unlock and flow, and then you're able to receive. You find yourself relating, realizing, acting, and then you come to a true transformance, connecting with people everywhere, and then there's true manifestation. And again, I want to take the process through. It's a very intense process.
That's brilliant the way you said it, too. I mean, that really lays it out there.
Well, he obviously, this was obviously, his information is channeled. Darryl Anka is channeling Bashar, and that's, so this is channeled information, and Bashar is just terrific.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites, one of my favorite people to listen to, I'll tell you right now. And this one, we're going to see. Time will tell, because obviously it takes a little bit of time, talk about a habit, to open to these circuits. But the way he was explaining the benefit to this was, as you start to hold on to the card and see the symbol, you would be able to better experience each of these processes or steps. Like, in other words, as you are aligning with centering and taking it in, you are actually becoming closer to centering. And as you're staring at expanding, you become more expansive. And so basically these are to trigger off new patterns in us. And again, it's very easy to say to people, well, I need to reprogram myself, but people need tangible steps. Again, like the Veronica Lee offered an actual tangible thing to do as far as resetting the codes. This very much so. The Bashar also does this. Actual concrete steps to expanding. But I wonder, is this altering our DNA or allowing for us to alter our DNA?
I was just thinking that. I'm so glad you said that, because that's what was in my mind when I was listening to the Veronica Lee one, because she says that there's actual numbers in the codes in our body, and that to reset it to the infinity symbol. But I was thinking, where do we normally have codes? I think of DNA. I think of the codes in our DNA and how our DNA is somewhat limited at this point in time. And it's something that, as we are moving through this evolution in consciousness, and we're all ascending in our own ways, moving towards greater ascension, the DNA has to be changing, along with the help of the energies from the cosmos and the solar flares and the magnetic pole shifting. It would have to change us on a biological level and on a genetic level. So I believe that resonates.
I think, we have chakras in the body, 7 chakras. There's also chakras outside of us that are helping us to connect with that in the cosmos. Typically, being on a 2-stranded DNA or a double helix, we're hoping to expand to a 12-stranded helix DNA. And so when that would allow for the activation of each of these chakras, even the ones that are outside of our body, to connect to all there is. And we are rather limited when we're dealing with 2 strands of DNA, because that doesn't make room for our connection to the cosmos. And so by expanding, we will be able to channel messages. We will be able to create faster. We will be able to use our minds, hold a vision, and create. And that is the ultimate goal, which would be manifesting by basically bringing in what we wish to have, because at that point the subconscious messages and old, deep-rooted things would be gone. They were all things that had to do with lack. So we're constantly thinking, well, I might not have enough money. Then we get that. That's what we're manifesting. A lot of our thoughts are revolving around fear and lack. And of course, that was brought on based on social messages, based on parental messages, based on message from teachers, based on our interactions in today's world, because many people, and I think it's changing, were more attached to the lack and the fear-based thoughts, and and again, we're in the process of really cleansing our physical system, whether we are looking at the emotional issues that are coming up and at the same time talking about reprogramming and expanding. So, it's a very intense process. I'm noticing most people are acknowledging this transition, that there is some kind of sync.
Definitely. Even just the average person that I'll talk to in the deli or something here, I'll say, well, things are really changing now. And some people look at me like, huh? But then other people will be like, yeah, there's an evolution happening. The consciousness is really changing. You can feel it. I noticed that it seems like people are just more aware of themselves and their patterning, and how they don't really fit in to the traditional way of being that they've been taught they should be, or that that they feel all other girls act, all other 20-year-old girls. I was talking to a 20-year-old the other day, and she was saying, well, I just don't fit in with girls my own age because I don't want to be like that. And to be aware that you're doing that you don't fit in, or to be aware that people are a certain way, I think is showing that there's there's not only an increased awareness, because I'm repeating awareness, but that's so important to be aware in order to change. I think to even know that something just is off. Instead of unconsciously continuing, like you said, we've become mechanical. And when you're mechanical, you just keep going. Oh, a piece breaks, so I better fix it. Keep going and going and going. But when you're open to this process, and, we might as well, I think, address a little bit of the ascension things that are happening right now. Many people are talking about noticing feelings of being a little sick, of maybe not, and even in the Veronica Lee video, she does talk about this, having some kind of illness, noticing that you can no longer digest foods the same way you used to be able to, or even digesting ideas. Things just don't feel the same way, and your physical body, we're going through changes. A lot of people are feeling dizzy. A lot of people are, getting actually physically sick, having heart palpitations. There are signs to ascension, which we've read some beautiful things on Facebook, where people are talking about the signs of ascension, which really seem to fit. But I think it's really important not only to talk about resetting the codes, but also to take very good care of ourselves right now. When you feel tired, to listen to yourself, not to just keep going at all costs, burning the midnight oil, burning the light at both ends. But, okay, you know what, I don't feel good. I'm going to lay down. I'm going to take a nap. Or I'm going to eat some organic fruit right now. I'm going to maybe just eat vegetables and think I'm not going to eat meat for the next couple of days, or just to sort of notice, what feels better to you. Because it's going to be on many different levels. We're talking about the etheric level, then there's the physical level, there's the spiritual level. You have to work on all levels at once, but be kind to yourself and to others. Be gentle, because this is an intense process, and we have to give ourselves a little bit of a cushion to go through it. And so, if you need to sleep 10 hours, sleep 10 hours. If
that is the right message, to be very good to yourself and take care of yourself, which is not the overall social message that we're given, which is you got a job to do, you got to keep moving, you got to, we're kind of trained to kind of be running around and putting ourselves almost last and taking care of all the things that need to be taken care of, and not necessarily the things we want to do. But there is 24 hours in a day, and that comes with people starting to wonder, well, why am I here? What am I really supposed to do? I'm not necessarily meant to just work at the gas station, or I'm not necessarily just meant to work in this factory setting. I'm not necessarily, and yet there are some people in any job, in every walk of life, that are just delighted to do that job, that are happy, and they know they're there as a beacon of light to raise up the vibration there, and they're just joyful about going to work. And that's not who I'm referring to. I'm referring to the people that are basically doing all the things they don't really want to do, but are doing it because they feel they have to. And we have to reevaluate what that means.
Yeah. But as you say that makes me think, and it's because of the programming. Those people who are doing the jobs that they really sincerely do not want to do, but they're so afraid of trying something else. They're so afraid, maybe they're an artist. Maybe they're a psychic. Maybe they're a healer. But they think, but I can't do that because there's no money in that. How will I pay my bills? My parents, what do they think of me? My husband, he won't support me in that. So automatically, when you think of change, sometimes all the limiting thoughts can come up, and that's the programming. And
that's, of course, what you're manifesting then. When you're thinking about things then you can only manifest more limitation when that is your dominant thought, when that is what's radiating from your heart, these thoughts of scarcity, these these basically negative ideas of how you're, what will come up. Actually, anytime we really are anticipating the future and not living in the now, it almost spells out an anxiety. When you start to think about what's coming up, in 2 days I have this appointment too, you can bring on anxiety to yourself unnecessarily and attach extra worries to upcoming events, which sabotage the manifestation. To receive, here a lot of the times when we are saying, I wish for abundance, and we're on a very high vibrational level. We have to stay on that high vibrational level to receive. You can't order a burger from a restaurant and then run out before your burger comes. Well, here I bring out meat and stuff, even though I do still eat meat. But I am just saying, for some of our listeners that don't, but I will say.
I thought you were going to say. No, go
ahead.
Well,
I'm just saying it's almost like you have to be in the spot to receive it. But people are changing in droves also because a veil is lifting. And there is a major pole shift. There is magnetic shift. There is increasing solar flares. And we are people collectively, actually the Earth itself too, is going through a transformation as a result of that. We have seen increased earthquakes and geological disasters take place, even though, it's a very interesting thing. Things that actually are happening are not even reflected on the news. So we are so disconnected from the earth and what is real or what real news is, and we really have to seek that out to see all the other different things happening. Because if you rely on TV for the news or the newspapers for the news to know exactly what's happening around you, you're not getting the right news.
No, clearly. It seems to me that the best information, if you can trust yourself and your intuition, it does come from within. Mm-hmm. When we can tune in to the divine within us and ask for help from our guides, from angels, or from however you want to look at it, from that part of you within that has the knowing, that I am presence, we can get all the information we need from that. And that's actually something that I heard Anelia Benz say in an interview she did very recently on Bridging Heaven and Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good interview.
Because she's obviously she channels wonderful information. I mean, she is intimately connected to Source. And here we are looking to her, and we're looking to other people like her to give us this information. But she says, we can all do this ourselves, and we can plug into infinitely more information than we're getting from them. So I think, that is maybe a part of resetting these codes. And going back to the Bashar video, what he's trying to do for us, or help us to do, in resetting the circuitry of the brain, and it's sort of, I see these codes as being something almost necessary to embed within your brain, within the psyche, so that the information can be downloaded into the self. And also, he did speak of each of these symbols, just like geometric symbols, that they're actually living entities. Yeah. That they're not just a sign, like a lines on a piece of paper. They're actually living entities, and there is great energy behind them and great meaning. And I think the more that we become acquainted with the symbols on a conscious and unconscious level, then the more that we can connect with these beings, with these energies, and get from them what we need in order to expand and ascend and be able to manifest and be able to transcend the limitation and the programming, which is so strong. I mean, clearly we're going through this ascension process. We're noticing changes all the time. And yet, as you said earlier in this talk, you said something about self-sabotaging behaviors coming up as we're transcending old behaviors. Yeah. So we'll move on to a new level, as if you're going up the staircase. You move up, and I can see a greater view from here. It's much more beautiful, and then you fall back a few steps.
That's exactly, that's exactly what happened to me, actually, when I was saying that, too. In that same Bashar video, somebody came on and was asking a question of how to help her son who was having some psychiatric issues, and he was talking about that to help this, to imagine the infinity symbol, making the infinity symbol, seeing the infinity symbol, putting this in front of somebody's face over and over and asking them to follow your finger. And I saw that, and I swim laps every day, and when I was in the pool, I was literally doing that. As I was swimming from side to side, I was imagining the infinity symbol, and then all of a sudden, as I was doing it, I felt like an outer layer of myself was cracking and shedding off, and I felt just all possibilities were infinite. I felt so wonderful. I felt like a pure crystalline energy flowing through me. I felt so wonderful. And then I came in and I said to myself, and I was feeling good, and I was going to go to the organic store, and I was going to be getting different things that I was going to be making, and I was like this. And then I had a few minutes after, I was sitting back down in my house, and then I just had a desire to have a food binge, to do the exact opposite, with this feeling of joy and elation that was running through me. I almost didn't know what to do with it. I felt like a need to go for eating, all kinds of stuff, whatever it was, and almost slipping back. And I was like fighting with myself. And the closer you get to this, sometimes the closer the ego is fighting. It's fighting hard. It is fighting hard to stay in place. And to see where it is. So, I definitely, and had to really fight this and look at it and say, here, what do you need? And I was imagining then the need for emotional comfort through food. And then this is a piece that I was being forced to release even after doing this powerful swim, where, again, I absolutely shed an outer layer, and I was just pure energy. Only when I was doing it, and then as I basically snapped back, and I was very aware of it, and that is what I was referring to earlier when I talked about that, and it's very interesting. Another thing that has helped me though too. It's been 3 things I've been doing this week when we talk about reprogramming, and 3 things that the both of us have been actually looking at together. This Patricia Cota Robles, she has this downloading the program for our new solar planetary cause of divine love, which is an absolutely beautiful video. And she's actually she is downloading new patterns and programs and asking us to remove the ones in our system that are actually self-sabotaging. And this is something, just by listening to this, too, it made me very aware of the need to take in this new information and adjust to it and not listen to the ego and address these fear-based thoughts and let them out, look at them, bring them out into the light, and release them into source. And again, it's this, I don't know that it's a lifelong struggle. I talk about talking to somebody like Anelia Benz. She's on an even keel.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that once you transcend to a fifth dimensional reality style thought, I don't think that all these other pieces are there. I think that you almost have to bring yourself to a new place by looking at everything that has kept you in this place and then jet yourself over there. But it is definitely what's so beautiful about this show is we're talking real. This is 100% real from the heart. And we're talking about our own personal strategies toward our path, toward ascension. And how we're growing into unconditionally loving beings by looking at the pieces in us that are no longer working in our lives, and then taking it a step further by making this a public chat for people to hear us on our journey. I mean, and we're learning and we're growing every step of the way as well.
Yeah, and it's really very like heartwarming. Even as I'm listening to you say that, I'm reminded, we're really sharing this with people, and we're doing what we feel we're supposed to be doing. And you have to, I think, sometimes you really do. Just speaking for myself, I really had to stretch beyond my old thoughts of myself in order to embark on this different path of speaking my truth in a very public way. I always wanted to be in radio from 25 years, from when I was in college. I was interested in radio. I wanted to do it. But it took me until now to really get into being comfortable with expressing myself. And I think that the powers of the universe, the powers of the solar system and beyond are only helping me and many other people and you to do this. We're being assisted so much at this time, and if we can all just collectively and individually step up to the plate, so to speak, to say, okay, this is what I want to do more of. And it doesn't mean that you have to quit your job to do it or you have to take on a whole new life. It can be as simple as bringing, taking these new codes into the body and allowing it to do its work. I mean, clearly, when you spoke of doing the swimming with imagining the infinity symbol, you're just taking it in, you're focusing on it, you're taking it in, and then it kind of does its work. It cracks this outer layer. It's almost like you did shed your skin, and it's so bright and it's so brilliant and lovely, and in a way it's a little scary, it's a little cold. We're so used to putting a blanket on ourselves and covering up and covering with food or clothes or anything, TV, relationships, to distance ourselves from that core because we're just not accustomed to that. I mean, yes, when we're babies, when we're young children, we are pure light, and then all that programming is coming in. And the programming is usually because people are annoyed. They don't want to take on the job of taking care of us. They want us to be quiet. They want us to do what they want us to do. So it really is all other people's. And the more that we can realize that and just keep centered and keep aligned with Source and keep doing the things that make you feel good, I think then we can all ascend at a quicker rate. But tell us a little bit more about this Patricia Cota Robles video, because I know you've definitely listened to that more times than I have. I think it was beautiful. I mean, I did. Well,
I listened to it 3 different times, and one of the times I was actually literally laying out on the earth, out in the grass, and doing it, and the other 2 times were just here inside, and I could actually, as she was doing it, and with the beautiful music in the background, I actually could feel the new solar, or the downloading these programs. And basically, it's for the same purpose of Veronica Lee or Bashar's mission, or what they were explaining it would be, to allow us to align with that on a higher frequency, so that we can open up and see, so we can evolve whatever is in us, release whatever is in us, and download the new program so we can adjust to living and assimilating in a higher frequency environment. I mean, when we're talking about evolving from a 3D environment, which we're mostly mass, blood-bone beings and mostly mass, we'd be moving into being something more of light and and letting go of some of the heaviness within us. And it is calling for changes on all levels, especially even physical, so dietary changes. We need to lighten up and have our bodies be lighter. Become emotionally lighter, so that we can actually spiritually connect to those of the highest and actually hear their messages and actually be able to hear what they're saying. In other words, when your perception is limited, you're kind of in the dark. You can only see a limited amount of things. When there is more light and your vision expands, the possibilities, and you learn a little bit more about where you're at and the possibilities, and where you're headed. And so I don't know. I found her just to be tremendous. She had a whole bunch of videos. This is just the one, because I'm on this mission of reprogramming or looking into reprogramming, because I'm realizing that a lot of things, it's just a subconscious, or it's just an automatic mechanical reaction based on subconscious thoughts in different situations that come up that are stressful or difficult. The problem is not like when it's a beautiful sunshine day at the beach and everybody's harmonious. It's very, very easy to say love and light, my friends. But it's when you feel that all of a sudden somebody has hurt you, or all of a sudden some of your old programming, if you're used to being a disappointment and then or it's about being disappointing, the old program, then you would perceive something as you'd be disappointed, you're disappointing somebody, and then you react. If one is rejection program, where you're used to being rejected, go on without me anyway, nobody wants me, and then you'd perceive everything from that. And so everybody has their own little something that they have to do the work to dig deeply and find where these firewalls are within them. But we each have some kind of message that has to be released, at least those of us that are not volunteers, those of us that have come in with some kind of karma. We do have some kind of message that we are working out, and are even brought back to some of the old with some of the old players from past lives, believe it or not, so that we can work this out once and for all. And the people around us usually trigger off the most. They might have even seemed to be responsible for planting these thoughts within us. And so it's very interesting. But anytime that we look outside of ourselves and blame other people, we have to remember that we're spinning out this reality ourselves and have to change what our thoughts are so that we would receive something different once and for all. So we are unpeeling the layers of the onion, CJ, no doubt.
Oh, for sure. And just to say, I think this is the video that you're referring to, the Patricia Cota Robles. It seems to be a lot of cleansing and healing. And she talks about the light of 1,000 suns burning through the institutions, even talking about the correctional institution and the facilities and all the people within it, and then the governments and the schools. And so I think that's brilliant, because we can all focus on healing ourselves, and that will in turn heal other things as well. It will heal the earth. It will heal the world around us. But we can also do the same thing. We can focus specifically on certain things, and then our combined collective energy has even more power to change things. Just like when there's a group meditation, it's been shown, there's studies shown on the power of people when they meditate together. It's actually taken down the incidence of violence in a place like D.C. When the meditation was being done. Yeah, that's one of the people that was actually in What the Bleep. Who did that study, and it was using transcendental meditation. So it's clear. It's very clear. We all have the power to affect the field around us, and when we collectively put our minds on the same positive thing, it's exponential, and that's what's happening. That's what's all over.
I'm just thinking it starts, and you just reminded me when you said about the light and bringing in the light and this. Where she's talking about, I remember Mirabai Devi talking about roasting the negative thoughts and patterns with light. She talked about pouring in. She was doing a light transmission. She held her hands up and opened her palms, allowing to receive the light and the sun. And then she was talking about letting in the light and roasting, literally roasting with the light, all these negative or toxic pieces. And so you just reminded me of that thought too.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Well, a lot of these things that are that are these old patterns, the reason that they're able to continue is because they're in the dark. They're even in the dark from us. We haven't even really until recently started to think about what is this and what is this pattern and why does this happen again and again, and why do I attract these people again and again, and what is happening. I think a lot of it is that because it's kept in the dark. It's hidden. We almost don't want people to see it. We're ashamed of certain behaviors. We don't want anybody to know. There's a hidden part of us that we are not proud of, and that we feel we don't want the world to know. We're hiding it by covering it up. And at this point, it's about there is no shame. We are the I am presence. We are it. We are divine beings. Every single one of us. Every single one of us. So there is no shame in anything. Everything just needs to be released as part of your experience, and then you've let it go.
Well, wow, there's so much there. I mean, really, the idea of bringing things into the light, things that are hidden in the dark, to bring them to the light and to allow the energies to burn away. It's like roasting, like Mirabai Devi, like roasting those old patterns. I think that is so important, and also to, at the same time, acknowledge that you are a being of light, you are a divine being, you are the I am presence. Nothing to feel bad about, nothing to feel ashamed of. It's the opposite of what traditional psychotherapy is.
I know.
And having done that for so many years, and feelings coming out of sessions with clients, and I know I worked very well with clients. People wanted to stay with me for years and years, and I had to leave it because I just felt that there was something that wasn't right. And I think it's this piece. We have to come from, for me, at least for me, for you, and I think for many other people, and it's changing the whole world. It's coming from a spiritual place of completely accepting you're a beautiful, wonderful being of light. There's nothing to feel bad about. We can talk about these things and bring them into the light, but with these tools, it just makes it so much easier and so much better. Instead of focusing on, let's talk about what your mother did to you when you were a child and how bad you feel about it. And then let's talk about how bad you feel, and now you feel bad right now. Well, let's really look at how bad it is. I mean, there's something about focusing on it, but I think it's just the way, and then it's kind of the brain going over and over again, the same bad feelings. Then you're just manifesting more of the bad.
Well, it's a business. When you really look at our traditional Western psychotherapy model, we keep people in therapy for many, many years by forcing them to relive their pain and not necessarily teaching techniques to release it. We just keep bringing them back again and again and again and analyze it every which way until the person, it almost weakens and debilitates a person, but it definitely keeps them dependent. And most of the models or the institutions that we have in place are all meant to keep you dependent. Banks keep you in debt, or and then medicine doesn't completely get you well. There's side effects, and then you're an ongoing patient, and you need to continue. And then you're deep into the Western medicine, and I mean all of them. They're all set up to force dependency. But, I mean, it is incredible. I, again, want to say the 3 videos and the idea of, first of all, making a conscious attempt to change the programming, and then also to do different kinds of meditations which are actually downloading or bringing the light in and teaching different methods to bring the light in and take away the pieces that we want removed, kind of like what Patricia does. Are a beautiful combination, and I'm glad that we were able to share this with our listeners. Now, I know that we are running out of time, but I do want to say, I mean, very exciting. We're going to be having Anelia Benz on our program on May 23rd. That will be wonderful. Yes. We love her.
That's awesome.
And you can catch us every Wednesday here at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Again, I'm Helane Lipson, and my information or how to reach me if you're interested is www.insightsbyhelane.com, www.insightsbyhelane.com. And I'm so happy that we were able to share all this information with our listeners, and that you and I, CJ, can have a public chat and bring people into our lives this way. So thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you. Me too, Helane. I'm really glad that we got to talk about this. I feel really jazzed by this conversation, and I just want to say if people want to reach me, my website is wholeearthhealing.com, WHOLEEARTHHEALING, wholeearthhealing.com, and you can reach me there. And I look forward to speaking to you all again next week, 1 o'clock on Wednesday. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all. Love and light, everybody. Namaste.
Namaste.